Hello again, my friends. So, I had a thought catch hold of my mind earlier this week and it hasn't let go, so I figured I would share it with you all as well. And this was on somebody's Instagram page, and I'm unsure who said it originally, so for that I apologize. But it said, quote, "Growing closer to God is not the result of trying harder, but of surrendering more." After reading that, I actually went as far as to look up the word surrender, even though I know what it means, in just a few different dictionaries, just to kind of see. And the one that caught hold of my attention was the one in the Britannica, and it says, "To agree to stop fighting, hiding, resisting, etc., because you know that you will not win or succeed." So in reality, that's a perfect definition as we surrender to God, right? These things that we carry, these trials that we go through, these burdens that we have to bear, it's less and less about just trying harder, throwing more work at it, burning ourselves out, and more about letting Him be the one in control. Really and truly believing and acting on the knowledge that He is greater than any problem we could ever face. That's not an easy thing to do. I feel like it definitely takes some practice. And in my very limited practice, I've seen this truth in a few facets of my life. One of them being in those voluntary positions in service to our church called callings, because we don't get paid. These aren't paid positions. These aren't things that we are trained to do. There's a lot of things that, the training comes after the call, after you've been asked. It's not necessarily your area of expertise. There's times where even though I want to be of service, I say yes, I also find myself in moments where there's growing pains trying to learn new skills. There's growing pains in trying to deal with different personality types. There's many moments where I feel inadequate in those callings, but they end up being exactly what I need to help me become closer to who I'm meant to become. And I was actually sharing this quote with the committee I serve with of women who help plan activities for the women in our congregation. And I told them that honestly, I've seen it within our committee too, where it's just like the more that I am prayerful and intentional in how we go about planning these activities, and the more that I stop trying harder and harder to do everything myself, but rely on the skills and talents and capabilities that they bring to the table, many of which I do not possess. We need each other. I truly believe that God puts people together with complementary skills, different skills, so that we could learn from one another and help one another. So that's one way that I've learned surrendering. Another way I've felt the call to surrender in the last little bit is in my personal life, with these life changes that I've discussed in previous episodes, where I've completely changed direction. I told myself if I ever went back to work, it'd be in the restaurant industry, back to what I know. And if I ever went back to school, it'd be in business, to kind of couple with that and just be the cards that I've been dealt, right? And that's just not what God had in mind. The more and more that I've surrendered, the more I've been redirected. And the more that I have surrendered, the more the Spirit is able to speak to me and remind me of specific times, specific experiences and lessons that I've learned throughout my life, not just in one season, but throughout my life, that have prepared me for what he has in store. And it's really just awesome. It's so awesome. There's no other way to put it. But still, surrendering is not easy. And it's not our natural tendency. And I find myself putting myself in my children's shoes. How often do they resist eating their vegetables, putting on a coat when it's raining outside, picking up after themselves, and a myriad of other things, where I'm sitting here knowing full well the benefits, and yet they can't see the full picture or understand the desire to have that full picture. How often are we just like that with our Heavenly Father? Where we get into survival mode and think, this is it. This is what I'm good at. This is what I'm capable of. I'm just going to keep grinding. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And eventually the dam will break and everything will be okay. But in reality, it's just going to lead us to burnout, and we're going to be approaching him very, very differently and very much more from a place of desperation. He'll still be there. He'll still be there in that desperate state as well. But how much more he can make of us if we just turn to him willingly. How much more fulfilling it will be if we allow him to direct us, not just from when things get hard, but throughout the whole journey. And until next time, have the best week.